Hi there, Dance Studio owners. Clint Salter here, founder of the Dance Studio Owners Association, and welcome to a very special podcast event. Over the next 8 weeks, you're going to be hearing from Dance Studio owners Angela and Jodi about how you can grow your dance studio in this very special series we're calling Elevate Your Studio. Over these next 8 episodes, you're going to be hearing ideas about how you can get more creative in the classroom. We're going to be talking about recitals. Angela and Jodi are jumping in how to have spectacular summer camps. They're going to be talking about creating an exceptional customer experience, how you can maximize your musical theatre programming, how you can promote a positive body image inside of the classroom, out of the box marketing ideas, and they're going to tell you about their absolute failures that they've had in their dance studio and how to avoid them. You're in for an amazing 8 weeks. Elevate Your Studio with Angela and Jodi starts now.
Elevate Your Studio with Angela and Jodi, finding the joy in studio ownership. I'm Angela Manella Hoffman.
And I'm Jodi Schilling, and this is our 3rd episode. Yay! I can't even believe it. And this is the 3rd episode in an 8-week mini-series event. And today, we're so excited to be talking about spectacular summer camps.
Yes, we love our summer camps, but sometimes...
You might, but I don't always.
They don't always go the way we had them planned. That's for sure.
I don't know about you, Angela, but summer, I dread it.
Oh,
it's hard. It is so hard. Kids are off vacationing. They turn off for the summer. You're competing against not just dance studios for summer camps, but everyone.
Yes.
Everything.
Playground, everything.
YMCA.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And for me in Minnesota, most people don't want to stick around in the summers because we only get a few days.
And a lot of my students are traveling to Israel or, out of the country to visit family because we're in LA.
Yeah.
A lot of my students in my part of LA have family out of the country. So you can't compete with that.
No. Well, let's talk about how we do it and think of some strategies that we can help other people with.
Yeah, because it has been a learning curve and sometimes it's hit and miss. This last summer, I think I found a formula. We'll see. We'll see if I can repeat it. But for my studio, I have to gear summer camps to recreational students that don't normally attend my studio. So I'm seeking new students. How about you?
Sure. I'm seeking new students, but also trying to get current students to try more classes and to try a different style of class as well. But yeah, a lot of it's focused on getting new students in to just try some classes to see if they like our studio and things like that. I know a lot of studios have a really large teen competition groups that they will have them in for the summers a lot. And we have a little bit of that, but just with workshops. But mostly ours are geared towards like that recreational kind of student.
Same here. Like our teens will come in for guest artists or a one-off. We don't require, and this is probably silly of me, but I don't require them to do summer camps, the competition team during the summer, because I like it when they go off and train other places.
No, I get that too. Yeah. We have ours come in for a couple weeks each summer, but then I do want them to go and get some other training some places and try some new things as well.
Yeah. So just a heads up, I'm going to be talking more about recreational summer camps and geared towards younger students, maybe ages 4 to 12.
Great.
Awesome. So what's like, I love you, Angela.
Oh, I love you too. So when do you start planning for your summer camps?
Well, to be honest, I used to not plan until like February. This is pre-inner circle. I'd slop something together in February and then advertise it in March. And you know what? It didn't work.
Well, everybody's already booked already.
I know. And you'd think that I would have been able to figure that out on my own, but I didn't. But the last 3 years, I plan it in December.
Uh-huh.
And that's just like collecting ideas and then sending out surveys to my parents to see what weeks they need covered with childcare.
Right.
And kind of what themes interest them the most, because there's new movies that come out and new ideas, and I want to see what their kids are into.
So you actually ask your clients.
Oh, yeah.
That's great. That's
totally.
A great idea.
And then I know what weeks they're interested in. I know what things their kids are loving at that point in time.
Sure.
And then I put everything together and I advertise now in January.
Yes.
It gives me plenty of time to fill them up.
Yeah, that's great. See, even for us by January, things are filled because a lot of the zoo and the different places fill them up right away because they go all day for childcare. And we haven't really done that as much in the past, but I'm thinking that that's what we're going to have to keep doing.
Well, tell me about your structure. Like, how do you do that?
So we do like mini camps. So we have programming going from like one class would be like from 10 to 12, and then we'd have another class from 12 to 2. And they're camps generally. So like 1 week would be a different theme. And we try to keep the ages, similar and stuff. But it's hard for me because I kind of want to take a break in the summer. So sometimes it's hard to get the staff and teachers that we need to have full day programming. I don't know. How does that work for you?
It's a little different for us. I think that I just have access to more staff just being in LA.
Sure.
But we actually offer for each camp, there's a half day option, either AM or PM, or they can choose to do the full day. And they're
the same theme the whole day?
Usually. Yeah. And it's week long camps. So usually it's like 9 a.m. to noon, and then there's an hour lunch break where there's a transition period for whoever's coming or going or staying. They eat their lunch from 12 to 1, and then we go on, continue the second half of the day from 1 to 4.
Great.
And then we just something that I've learned to just get those working parents to drop off their kids. Yeah. We have extended care, so they can drop off as early as 8 a.m. And I think it's like just $5. And then if they need extended care to like 5 or 6, they join our evening classes, because we do run our evening classes even in the summer. It's just a pared down schedule.
Sure. We kind of shut everything down as far as what we do during the year, and then kind of reformat for summer. But it sounds like your structure is great.
Well, it's out of necessity. I got to pay my bills.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So tell me some of your themes that have worked really well for you for your camps.
Well, okay. So I try very hard because I like gender neutral themes.
Yes.
So I try to do mixed genre and gender neutral. And by what I mean mixed genre is like it will be different styles of dance.
Yeah.
And also different forms of art. So it's like music, acting, crafts. So it's because when you have them for the whole day, they can't logistically, they can't dance the whole day, not a recreational student. No. They need breaks and they need variety. So some of my favorite themes, and stop me if I give too many.
Never.
Let's see. One of my favorites from last year was Beat Bugs, Beetle Mania.
Yes, that's so huge right now.
Beat Bugs is, if you don't know, it's a Netflix series that my children love. I think it's based out of Australia. And they're these little cute bugs that live in a backyard, and they sing only Beatles songs.
So the songs are great for us too,
Oh yeah. And so they were learning about this band, this great band. And their collection of music is insane.
Oh, it's so vast.
But there was so much to do. Like acting out some of the scenes, and then we would do bug type crafts and art. And the little boys and the little girls loved it. And of course, we were dancing. It was a really fun one.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. One of our most successful ones was based on the Giraffes Can't Dance book.
Oh, I love that book.
I do too. It's my favorite. So we used a lot of crafts, and we had the kids kind of make their own costumes, and performed the book really, but just put it into dance and movement and theater. And that was great. But I think gender neutral camps are probably such a great idea.
Such a great idea. Here's another idea for you. So my husband and I love The Amazing Race.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I know that the kids don't necessarily know what that is, but the parents do.
Yeah.
And so we had Amazing Race Rally, and we broke the campers into teams, and they would race around the world. There was like a game board we created, and they would learn different cultural dances and do different cultural art. And it was such a blast. And some of these ideas, if you're like, how do you come up with this stuff? I know it is a little bit out there. I like Etsy. I like to go on Etsy and look at birthday parties.
Yes.
Like birthday party ideas.
You have to limit your time on Etsy, though.
Otherwise, you
can go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, I don't know. I spend a lot of time on Etsy. But there's some great ideas for birthday parties. And then birthday parties easily translate into week-long camps if you use a little imagination.
Absolutely. And we do a lot of our birthday parties during the summer camps, or our summer camps then become our birthday parties because we already have all the supplies and things like that. So it's a great transition. Yeah.
Once you have your camp supplies, you can reuse them forever.
Yes. Yeah.
So another, this was the biggest hit of last summer. It was our Candyland Adventure Camp. And
awesome.
I posted this on Facebook. I made a gigantic game board with, and it looked like a Candyland game board with a weaving path, and each little square had an activity that they would have to do. So each day of camp, they had no idea what square they were going to land on. And and the teachers didn't either. I had a notebook of what the activities were for each square. Yeah. So they'd roll the dice, land on the square, and the teacher would have to be like, oh, this is what we're doing right now.
So like, what would be some examples? What were some of the examples?
I'm trying to remember. One of them was create your own song. They had to do sketches. Of course, learn different dance styles. Right. Sometimes they'd land on a crafty square. Games. They loved it. And the game board was so big, it lasted the entire week. And the teachers were like, I didn't know, Jodi, if I was going to love this, but it was, to walk into camp and not have a class plan and just have this manual that you're supposed to use. But,
it keeps everybody on their toes, though. That's great.
But the teachers were like, you know what, Jodi, it was actually just as fun for us. So that's probably going to be a main staple for us because it was such a hit. Do you have, you're so creative. Tell me some more of your ideas.
So we've done like our Fancy Nancy camps, and those are really fun because we make all sorts of crafts and different things like that. I just feel so inadequate compared to Candyland.
No, Fancy Nancy is huge right now.
It is huge. And now I guess there's a TV show with it. So that makes it even better. But we did like a Fancy Nancy. One day we would do a Fancy Nancy fashion show. And I had some of our costumes that, we no longer use that the kids dressed up in. We would make crowns, and each day was kind of a different Fancy Nancy book. So one day we went under the sea because we were in part of her mermaid book. And so I had this big like clam shell. It's actually a sand thing. Like a sandbox. And Yeah, it's this shell sandbox, this big, big shell sandbox, but I just use it for our parties. So we use it,
So
we use
fun.
it for Fancy Nancy. And so that was a really big one. We've also had a lot of success with our superheroes and villains camps.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a gender neutral one too, which is great. But we set up obstacle courses and had our tumbling teacher come in and we would fight the bad guys, and it was really fun. We had a lot of good times with those. So
yeah. Any story based, look at children's books, look at what recent movies are coming out. Moana. Yeah, Moana was huge last year. Yeah. Of course, you can't call it Moana Camp, so we called it Hawaiian Hula Holiday. You just get
be creative.
Disco trolls.
Yeah.
Another good one is Fractured Fairy Tales. So you know Fractured Fairy Tales because you're an actor, but you take regular fairy tales and then you have the kids mix them up, and so you switch characters and you switch. Right. So you might have Hansel and Gretel meets Jack and the Beanstalk, and you mash them up and you find the music that would correlate with that, and you come up with some crafts, and it's so much fun. And the kids like being creative that way too.
Well, absolutely. And I think even if you're just a traditional dance studio and you don't incorporate acting or singing throughout the year, I think the summer is a great time to get some of that in there, whether it's the kids creating their own script or, using a script or bringing in an acting teacher. I think it can just really bring a lot to your students. If they're just in purely dance. I mean, you can teach them so much.
Yeah, and there's no need to feel intimidated by acting exercises. You can actually find some books from Lakeshore that like teachers use, and I found some really great ones on Amazon. If you just search children's theater, there's some great ones.
Many. Mm-hmm. So many. And you can even just watch like Whose Line Is It Anyway and steal some of their theater games, but make them a little more appropriate for children.
Yeah, and some of the listeners might be like, well, why are Angela and Jodi gearing it towards gender neutral instead of just going for the easy target of princesses or and the reason for me is I want to fill my studio with boys too.
Absolutely.
And I think my summer camps have gone a long way towards doing that because we're really high up there on percentage of boys. We're somewhere around 35% boys. Perfect. It's an insane amount of boys at our studio, and and I attribute it to our summer camps.
Yeah, and kids, are more likely, especially boys, to come in to try a camp, I would think, than a class. But this year we're going to do a fortnight camp because we've been doing fortnight dance classes, and that's been fantastic.
You've had so much success with that, and they love it.
Yeah, it's fun. So, so here's a question for you, Jodi.
Okay.
Do you have like snacks on hand, or do you have the kids bring their own lunches, or how do you coordinate that, and who watches over the kids? Do you have one teacher for the whole day, or do you bring in other people?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I do shifts because it's a full day, and some of the teachers are teaching at night. So we've got a morning shift, and then an afternoon shift, and then teachers come in the evening. But it's about 3 to 4 hours at a time. That lunch break, they alternate who is going to monitor the lunch break.
Okay.
And we have our kids pack their own lunches, but we don't allow peanuts. So there's that issue, like no peanut butter sandwiches or peanuts. But I always thought, I know some studios get a vendor, like a service to bring in lunches, and parents can buy order meals. I've never done that, but I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. It's a great idea.
What do you do? Do you provide snacks, or do you
provide snacks? Just because it's not, we don't have usually full days. But the days that we have had full days, we have them bring in their own things. And then like the last day I'll get them pizza or something like that. Just something fun for one of the days. So.
How do you come up with your pricing?
Yeah, that's the tricky part, because for us, there's the local, like Parks and Rec has summer programming for students all day, and it's super cheap. So we have to make sure that we can cover our costs and still make some money. But that's a tricky thing for us, is trying to figure out how can we be competitive with the other activities around, but also cover our own costs. And I know we provide more value than just, a park and rec kind of thing, letting your kid go play at the park all day. But sometimes it's hard to sell parents on that, we're providing structured instruction and classes and things throughout the day. So that's kind of a struggle for us. How about you?
Yeah, it is a struggle. And to tell you the truth, a mistake I've made in the past is just kind of looking at what other studios are charging and thinking that. But now I don't even look at what other studios are offering or what they're charging. I'm looking at what they're doing in the schools during the summer, like at the private schools. I'm looking at YMCA. I'm looking in the mommy groups on Facebook to see what parents are talking about.
Sure.
Because you're competing with swim lessons and like it's so much that you're competing with. So you have to have a broader scope. You have to kind of know what the bang for the buck is. And not to go back to gender neutral camps, but if you have a little boy and a little girl, it's so much easier to drop them off at the same camp.
Absolutely. Right? And you can really tailor things to either gender.
Right.
So no, that's a really good point. I think it brings in a lot more people if you have it somewhat gender neutral. And you can always, throw in one or two princess camps, because those are always fun.
Oh, I've experimented with the pricing though, and I've charged what I thought we were worth and had little success filling my camp.
Okay.
I've charged below margin and gotten a lot of people. But
then did they stay during the year? That's the other question.
But they didn't stay during the year.
Right.
So it's this middle pricing that's just a little bit more than YMCA, but less than other dance studios. Kind of right where the schools are, like, because they're, they're looking at what their schools offer first, because that's
convenient and
it's
easy.
Convenient. They know the teachers. They are familiar with the programming. So I feel like that's our main market, or they're shipping them off to summer camp, at least where I'm at.
Right. Well, the great thing would be to try to get into the schools before summer camp stuff starts coming out. So if you can get some kind of partnership with some schools and advertise, and most public schools won't just let you go in and advertise, but you could offer something to the school that maybe you would come in and teach, one or two classes, and then that would get your name out there too with the schools right before those summer camps come out. And I know you do a lot inside schools, and that's a whole different topic.
No, that's a whole nother topic, but you just gave me an idea of like a field trip. I don't know, like it's the beginning seed of an idea, but if you could offer your studio as a field trip option to break up the school's summer camp offerings.
Yeah. That's great. You do have to be careful though. We did do that once, and our items got broken. I just needed more staff.
Yeah.
So you just got to be prepared. Be prepared.
Well, we have about 5 more minutes, and there's a few more things I want to. Oh, there's so much to talk about.
I know.
There's some I really feel that we need to discuss. What are some of your tips and tricks on converting these summer camp students into year-round students?
Sure. Well, I try to really talk the whole summer camp about the things we do during the year, and not, in a sales pitchy kind of way.
Right.
But I always have materials for the year. They're the last day of classes for the summer camps. We give away, like, if they're going to register that day, we give them free registration. Just some little incentives to get them in and converted over right away. But we also kind of plant the seed the whole time along, like, this is what we do. And, these are kind of things that we have here at our studio. How about you? What do you do, Jodi?
Well, similar, and, we always have the brochures out.
Yeah.
But what's awkward is this last year, we had a lot of students just taking class with us during the summer because their studio shut down and went on break. And that's always a really awkward situation because I never, ever want to take a student from another studio, ever.
No,
it's just it's not ethical. And though if they want training, I want to help them,
Absolutely.
So those students, I'm not going to pitch. I'm just not.
No.
I don't have it in me. But a brand new dancer to the studio, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
One thing. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, even those dancers that are from different studios, I feel the same way as you. And we've had them come in just with a caveat knowing that they're here for training, and they're upfront with it. I'm upfront with it, just saying, we want to make sure your studio knows that you're here and taking classes, and we're not trying to take you away, but things like that. I think if you can be upfront and honest about it, it makes it a lot better.
Yeah, totally. And then there's always a few little things that we do just to make the experience a little above and beyond. And some of those things are, we will take photos and videos of the kids during the week-long camp.
Oh, great.
And mash it all together and edit it in this app called Magisto, which if you've not heard of Magisto, it is like my best friend. And we'll do...
I thought I was.
No, you're my best friend. I have lots of best friends. But this Magisto app is brilliant. So we'll take that video that got mashed up with all the photos and videos, and then we'll put it on Vimeo, which is kind of like YouTube. Yeah. And then you can send private, password protected links to the parents so they can see what their child did during the camp. And it's like, they'll see that their child was having fun and they were learning, and it's just been really great. So we send that
every day, a little snippet.
Yeah, you could do it every day. We did it at the end of the week because it was like a 2-minute video. Sure. We'll send individual photos during the week, but that big thing was at the end with the thank you letter. That's and the kids get to take home all their crafts and things like that.
Yeah.
How about you?
We do a lot of crafting during the summer. A lot. I spend a lot of time during the year whenever there's something on sale. I stock up. So like the day after Halloween or the day after Valentine's Day or whenever anything goes on clearance, I kind of stock up for the season. But we do those things too. We didn't use Magisto, but I'm going to look into that.
Please do. It's just, you guys, Magisto is just the coolest app ever. I think I have a business subscrition to it because I use it every single week on social media.
That's great.
And especially during the camps. I can't give it enough kudos. It's really cool.
Awesome. So in closing, Jodi, what is your number one piece of advice about summer camps?
Okay, let's see. It's hard to come up with one.
I know.
So I might give a couple. But I would say don't try to be like everybody else because that already exists. So offer what your families want, do the surveys, but do you, because that's what's going to set you apart. And then just over deliver on the experience and the fun value, because that's what summer is. It's just supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
So that I think that's my big advice. What about you, Angela?
I would agree with all of those, but I think one of my biggest advices too would be to let the campers or your summer kids know who you are and what your values are as a studio. I think once it starts getting to be time to looking at studios for the year, I think if you're really, really strong in your branding and identity and values, that will go a long way.
So long. Yeah, that's great advice.
Yeah.
We're at the end of our time already.
Oh, well, it was great chatting with you today.
So great. And next week, are we allowed to tell what we're going to do next week?
Maybe we should wait. But we can continue this discussion in the DSOA Facebook forum.
Oh yeah, let's do that. It's such a great resource for us to be able to share ideas and learn from each other. So let's get because I know that our Australian friends, they're planning winter camps because they're opposite of us. But this all still applies to everybody. We have to figure out what we're going to do in the off time. So
and I'd love to hear what everybody's ideas are and things and what works and what doesn't.
yeah, totally. Well, I tried to tease you with what we're doing next week, but I guess I'm not allowed. But just know it's going to be really, really good.
So make sure to listen in.
Yeah. And let us know, tag us in the group and let us know what you want to talk about. Like what do you want us to talk about? Because we're talking about what we want to talk about, but we also want to share value for you and give you tools and info that you might benefit from.
And we love to talk, obviously. So
obviously.
Have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you in the group.
Bye for now.
Thanks so much for joining us on today's episode. I hope you got a huge amount of value from the amazing Angela and Jodi, who are not only dance studio owners, but they are also members of our Dance Studio Owners Inner Circle program. Now, if you would like more information and resources on how you can grow your dance studio while reclaiming your life, please head to our website, dsoa.com. We'll see you there and see you back next week for another awesome episode.